I've never done a Twitch, but yeah, I'm ready.
All right, cool. Yeah. So I mean, I usually some people come in and hang out and ask some questions, and it's cool to just like kind of vibe with people in like the chat and stuff. Usually, it's people who have interacted with me or like the guest on the podcast, and so sometimes like some of your buddies might hop in and ask questions. But I just think it's like a cool mechanic to like rope into everything. But I guess like I always like to kick off just if you wanted to like introduce yourself and like a little bit about your
Sure.
background.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm Philip Braunstein. I grew up in Los Angeles, and for the about a decade now, I've been building residential housing in Los Angeles, anywhere from small subdivision condo buildings to single family residences. And I guess starting last year, I was collecting NFTs, and then kind of notably integrating the NFT art physical displays like digital screens into the houses I was building as a way to try to bring that actual viewing experience of NFT art into like real life. So I started doing that and got featured in the Wall Street Journal and the Hollywood Reporter for doing sort of multi-screen displays. We didn't just like put it on a TV. We actually installed like several screens and made it kind of an orchestrated NFT display experience. And we're going to continue to do that in our future homes as well as we kind of progress and design the houses to make sure like NFT art displays is a feature of the house.
Nice. So do you like is it a custom built screen or are you buying from like a certain
So yeah, it's interesting. When I first got into NFT art, I was like, well, the display, I'd really like to do something cool. And I kind of looked into it, and there weren't too many options. So I used the Netgear mural, which is yeah, it's built by Netgear. So I ordered the largest ones they had for that. And then I kind of like pre-wired it so that you wouldn't have those cords, dangling to the outlets, which you see in a lot of people when they, post their NFT art in their office. Is like looks cool, but then you have like a bunch of cords coming out of the screen. So we did a bunch of electrical work to recess the outlets behind each screen when we lined them up, so it'd be nice and neat. And then we picked a wall where we could put seven of them in a row, and then use those prefabricated screens from Netgear to make our display wall. But in the future, I'm now talking to the director of product at Netgear, and we're going to look into maybe some customized screens for the future. And they're also working on their next generation of NFT art display, because I think when they launched, they didn't even consider that side of the market. They were just looking at a digital art, and then NFT art exploded, and now they're looking at ways to connect your wallet and actually verify ownership and get into more of the blockchain side of that digital art display, which the NFT is so essential. So it'll be interesting to see what they come out to next. But yeah, we're looking at maybe doing some custom work with them.
nice. Yeah, so I pulled up the set of four in like the crop picture for like all the different Whisbe ones. And like I guess do you foresee it like kind of hitting a standpoint where like I almost imagine like having like a smart house and so then like being able to say like, whatever Amazon or I'm not gonna say because it's gonna say the word, but Alexa or Google or whatever, and like actually being able to like change settings where it'll change the actual images and like the lighting and everything, or like how do you think the tech will
Yeah,
progress?
I think it'll be something like that. I always kind of envision like kind of a hub,
Mhm.
like you'd go to like a touchscreen hub and it would have all your art, and then you could like, let's say you'd have like multiple display screens, because these digital screens are invading all parts of our life. Like right now, I have a three-screen setup in my office, and then my phone, and then my watch is a screen. So I have like, plus I have a TV. So I have just in this room, I have six screens. Oh wait, I have my second phone. So I have seven screens, within reach, within a 5 foot radius of me. So I think in, 10 years, imagine like the screen integration everywhere. So yeah, I was thinking like a hub where you could like go and like your art is there, your wallet or whatever, you have, and then your various screens, and you can kind of just like point and click, be like, okay, this art is on this screen, this art is on that screen. And then you could rotate it, or you could say, play this one for an hour, then change it to this and customize it. I think we'll eventually get there.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I mean, it's really just one of those things where like I guess however far you want to take it. I mean, I know a big thing that's also coming is like more 3D art and stuff like that that can kind of like pivot and change around. Like, do you think that it's so hard to say like what can happen and what can't, you know? But like I'm almost imagining just like entering a house and like full AR setups and like all that kind of thing like built into it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to think about like what will be integrated into homes in the future, you know. Yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities, right? You mentioned the AR, various projector technology too. Like there's so many little projectors coming out. You know, there was, I don't know if you remember that phone product. I don't know if it was Google. Like they would had a projector that connected to the Google phone and you could like watch a movie. Like, there's so many like micro projectors coming out, AR. It'd be interesting to see like how Star Wars it gets where like holographic art pops out anywhere 3D like you mentioned. So I don't know how much of it I don't see much discussion of it, and I'm sure there is a lot in the works. But me, I've kind of become the NFT collector, so I'm kind of focusing on that. But I'm sure there's a whole side of this industry that's in process and growing.
Nice. So have you like so you're obviously like pretty accomplished as far as collecting goes. Like have you slowed down at all with like physical work, like with like actual like the side of real estate or
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting because like, the reason I got into NFT art was in all the houses I built, the physical art was a huge part of it. When you have a completed house, furniture, the art, it makes a difference on how you experience the space. So I was always working with, galleries and staging companies and artists and, trying to get the best kind of artwork and, making cool art for the rooms, whether it's the movie theater or the bar or the dining area, always trying to, make it really cool. Um, but then, I always had to deal with the negative side of it, which is, hey, someone nicked the painting, hey, the movers, when they took it down, they scratched it. Oh, that art we put on the second floor, there's a gallery that wants to showcase it in Hong Kong. We got to ship it back to them. And so like all the human labor, inefficiency and imperfection and damage and fragile kind of nature of physical art, it's oil on canvas or whatever the material is. It's easy to destroy or damage. All that stuff was also just a pain. And so, and especially in a house where you have movers, you have people coming in and out, open houses, someone spills something on something, it's like constantly like, oh, is that damaged? Oh, file an insurance claim. But with NFT art, I was like, wait a second, this thing's freaking indestructible. I could put up the digital art screen. If someone even takes the screen, it doesn't matter because it's the security of the token is not what you're displaying. It's not, that's not what's available for damage or theft. It's just the image that's the metadata that's on display. So if that gets damaged, who cares? There's another version of it somewhere on the internet, but your token is indestructible, outside of it being hacked or lost or whatever. But compared to physical, you know uh, physical vulnerability, it doesn't have that problem. So I was like, this is so cool. I don't have to deal with all these issues that I'm normally dealing with. So that's how I got into it. I just thought it was a big improvement.
yeah. So
So the only physical art I've really collected, just to answer your question, is like NFT art that came with physicals. If an artist is like, hey, I'll send you a print, and it's like, okay, like, oh, I'm not going to turn it down. So then I'm just like, it's somehow related to the NFT art I've been collecting, the physicals.
so I guess just real quick, which physicals are like your favorite so far that you've gotten in?
Yeah. I mean, the Beeple ones were really cool when I first like that whole way he packaged them, it was really like exciting, to unbox them. But with infinite objects, I just find them not too practical.
Mm.
Like, I don't know, have you gotten an infinite object before or seen them?
Yeah, I have one sitting in a box that's next to my TV. Yeah.
It's like you get like an iPad mini in a case, and it's like, okay, what do? Do you lie it on your desk? Do you stand it up, but then you got to plug it in?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, if those physicals maybe were in a different way to display them, it'd be cool. But yeah, so kind of that was like my first experience with physicals and NFT art. I thought it was really cool, but like I said, the infinite objects, I just don't really get like what you're supposed to do with them.
Yeah.
So then I have a print from Refik Anadol
Mhm.
from his Mars hallucinations drop. So I have that, and I have a Nate Hill Twisted Landscape 1 of 1 NFT art physical. And then I collected some art from Super Rare by Travis Southworth Leroy, and who's a cool artist, and he sent me some prints.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually worked that Rafik piece. Which color, or do you remember which one you actually got?
I think it's A, could be A or C. I have my profile here. Let me check. And then one auction I really missed out on that came with a physical that was cool is a Thank You X, like his first drop with Jan Silva. He auctioned off a 1 of 1 that came with a physical.
Yeah.
I have the C,
See. Okay. Nice.
Mars
Nice.
C,
Yeah. I just
and
pull that up so
yeah.
people can see it. Yeah. So I love working with Rafik. He's so like he's so much fun to work with. He's so enthusiastic, and like he's almost just like this like mad scientist and like how he acts and like everything. So it's just really like such a pleasure to work with. So it's pretty awesome. What did you end up doing with the physicals for those?
So for the Rafik piece, I got the print, and I just had it framed, and then I also put the QR code in the bottom of the frame so that if someone wanted, so that someone would see that it was NFTR related, they could come and they could scan it, and it takes you to the Etherscan contract of the NFT.
Nice, nice. Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I just framed it. I put it up. You know, I like looking at it, and just something different.
yeah. The
But yeah,
level.
with
Sorry.
yeah, sorry, yeah, the level of detail, yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, but I mean, I really like display. I would go and do more digital displays, but there's something also about the a physical, non-digital that's kind of tied in the NFT. It's also kind of cool. I like them both.
Yeah. So now you were talking about this a little bit earlier. Did you really get into NFTs mainly because of the practicality of being able to display them in houses, or?
So yeah, so I'm almost 40. So I when I got into NFTs, it took my brain like several months to understand what they were. Like I did not onboard quickly. But at first, I saw some posts of Trevor Jones's Picasso's bull
Mhm.
that were like floating around on Twitter, and I'm like, that is a cool piece. And so I think I went on Nifty Gateway, and I was like navigating the site, and I was just like, I did not understand what I was buying. Like if I would buy something, I was like, and I emailed support. I'm like, are you going to ship me a print of like this or like what? And they're like, no, you're getting a token. And I'm like, what? And I scratched my head. So like 3 or 4 months went on, and I was like watching videos about the Winklevoss twins talking about like the NFT, and it took me several months to like understand it. And I was like, okay. And then as I started to understand it, like being involved with physical art installations at my house, and then seeing like what the digital art NFT like improved upon that's kind of what helped my brain click, you know.
Nice, nice. So I guess like to actually like hop into more of your like actual collection, like what are some of your favorite pieces or artists?
Oh yeah. So a Beeple Pack, Trevor Jones, Hackatow, those are some of my favorite, artists. I have some nice Hackatow pieces. I have the one from her It's a Scam drop, with like the Have Fun Staying Poor. And I have her Queen of Pop. And then I have the Beeple Open editions. He did Bull Run, Infected, and Into the Ether. I bought those back in December. Um, Coldy, I have some Coldy. Like I bought the Warren Buffett. I have the yellow and the black version. There's like two different versions of the decentralized, so I have those two. I have the full set of the Whisbe camo gummies that I did the display for my houses on. So those are some of my favorites. But for the next house, what I think I'm doing, I think I'm going to do a Nest Graphics wall. So I'm going to do another multi-screen NFT display, maybe like 7 or 8 screens, then do all Nest graphics. Because his work is like so vibrant I just think it's really going to show well in a house.
So now,
So I'm collecting a lot of Nest graphics. So I have his home base 1, his home base 2, I have his home base 3, I have his NYS3, I have Hyperloop, I have the board Nest Ape Club. So I have like almost 6 pieces, I think, and I'll continue collecting so I can incorporate it into that display wall when it's ready.
so I guess like two full questions. Do you design the wall in terms of like coloring based on like the art that you see on it? Like, will you do that in like a, I don't know, like a
Yeah,
pastel or?
so yeah, I'll pick like a wall where I think like the art display will look good for digital art. And then I'll sort of like think about which art collection would look good. It doesn't have to be from the same artist, but for me, I don't know, maybe it's easier for me to visualize it with the same artist. So then like for the Whisbe display, I got the 7 screens because I had the 7 camel gum. It only shows 4 in the picture, but there were 7 actually installed. So because I was like, okay, I have this big wall in the upstairs hallway. So I'll do 7 screens there because I have the 7 gummies. So yeah, I kind of think of it like kind of generally like where it would look good. And then I start to think of like, okay, what art or artist would look good? And then I think like having one artist with like several other works, for me, I think it's a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Maybe it just jives together better that way instead of having like 5 different artists. Cause I like multi-screen, because I just think it's brings another level of display. It's easy for a collector, easier for a collector to like buy 1 screen or 2 screens. But I think if I'm going to do it as a professional home builder, like I want to showcase, so I want to do like, multi-screen, customization to make it like take it to the next level. Like, oh, okay, this wasn't just done by someone who ordered something on Amazon and put up a screen.
Nice. So
But yeah, and Mad Dog Jones, of course, is a great,
yes.
great collector. Yeah. So Rafiq, as you mentioned. But yeah, so I'm thinking in terms of artists. So I'm gonna put Home Base 3, Home Base 2, Home Base 1, Hacker, NYS3, Boardness, Ape Club, Hyperloop, and anything else he comes out with. In the meantime, I'll start collecting, and then however many I've collected as we get closer, I'll customize the display to fit that.
Nice. How did you get into, like more just real estate broadly, and like what was like your, I guess, beginnings?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I got into real estate in 2010. I was living in Boston from like 2005 to 2009, and I moved back to LA. And when I moved back, like sorry, when I moved, sorry about that. When I moved back, like the whole economy market was like totally busted up from the 2008 recession. So I kind of like had to figure out what to do, and the real estate market was really depressed. So I was talking to people, and they were kind of like, "Oh, it's maybe a good time to buy." So I kind of was like running around trying to find, investors and trying to find properties, and ended up, getting a property from the bank that was in foreclosure and kind of like fixing it up and flipping it, and then kind of moved on from that, doing more and more stuff over the last 11 years now.
Nice. And so basically you just kind of like snowballed it.
Yeah, I kind of just like fell into it. There wasn't much going on in that when I came back to LA, to kind of start a career. There wasn't much happening because the economy was so screwed in '09. I don't know if you might have been too young to remember those days, from a professional standpoint, but '08, '09, you could have gone on holiday the whole year. There was not much going on.
Yeah, yeah. I was. I won't date myself. It's fine. But yeah, yeah. I was not in the working world yet.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that it was just a real, that was a great recession. So things were just really slow. So I kind of just like, fell into it almost, and then it just kind of snowballed.
Nice. So was it always kind of like this want to be able to do like really incredible like high end houses, or like did you start with like?
Yeah, that's a good question. At the time it was kind of, I guess, more necessity maybe at the time, and not really with the whole grand vision. But I really enjoyed the building process, and I think just as it got, more and more into it, you just try to improve on design, you try to improve on finishes, you try to take the experience of being in a house to the next level. You just keep trying to take it further and further.
Nice.
with the engineering, with the building, you know.
Yeah. The So my buddy works as like a general contractor, and he's like pretty well known within like more like the Pittsburgh area. And I've had him on the podcast, and he was just talking about like more nicer, higher end things that he's done in houses, like some of which are just like foot tap for like a dog bowl and food bowl to come out, like it's like a hideaway. And then like same thing with like the garbage can, like it's just like a
Right.
foot touch. Like, I mean, I don't have the video, I couldn't find it before we hopped on, but there was like the video of like the car. I don't know what to call it because I hadn't seen it before then, but basically like the car spinning around on like the cinder blocks.
Yeah.
What are like other nice touches that you've put into houses, or like somebody's requested, or things to that extent?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've done like the spinning car turner, so you don't have to like 3-point turn your car. You can just like back it up and it just spins you around. All our stuff is pretty much designed for creature comforts, like big steam showers, really luxury. Like we have motorized doors, so you don't have to physically open your door. You just press a button and it opens up automatically. So we have all those kind of creature comforts and luxury. But right now, kind of focus more on like the overall experience of like the space, the view, the way the elements work, like the pool water, the fire, like the visual of the skyline, like trying to get those to tie in really nicely. Like I try to focus on that and then focus on the art in the house and how it's going to lay out and feel and livability, adding the creature comforts, if someone really wanted them, like we could come back in and add them. But like when I get into it, I really try to think about those facets. Like, what's it going to be like sitting in your living room, like looking out the pool? When you're in the kitchen, what's it going to feel like, being in the space and being able to talk to people and entertain? So, and the other thing I'm really interested in is how to bring NFT, not only the art, but like the technology into real estate. Like, sometimes I go into these Twitter spaces and all I hear about are concert tickets. Like, oh, the NFT is going to go in real life because of concert tickets. And I'm always thinking to myself, this is kind of like, you have Promethean, fire, or whatever, and everyone's like, oh, we can use this to, roast a marshmallow. And it's like, no, you can do a lot more than this, and a concert ticket. So I'm also thinking of ways like, how can NFT technology expand into, the real estate, not only like chain of title. You think about that, like how a unique address of real property, essentially is already on an outdated blockchain with county records. How can that be taken into NFT? What else can NFTs do to the real estate, to disrupt it? So, I've been thinking about that, like doing an NFT for a house where if you have the NFT, you come to our, NFT art viewing party, or you come to a pool party we have at the house, or you get to stay a weekend at the house. Try to do it like so many things where it's just beyond, the typical applications. You try to hear like NFT is good for art and it's good if you want to go to a concert.
Yeah.
So I think it could be more.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely something that I've thought about too. I think like a broader, larger scale thing is a little difficult in terms of like say maybe like a building. But I mean, rental properties have definitely like exploded. I mean, I'm sure that you're hyper aware of it, and I kind of caught on to the story of like BlackRock scooping up so many houses. I think it'd be a pretty cool thing to be able to buy into like a DAO of rental properties. Like, okay, here's
Right.
this token, and now you own 1/100th or 1/500th of a house.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Like the blockchain technology, I think is a really good fit. And the crypto technology, really good fit for real estate. Because like I said, almost all of real estate is just on a really antiquated blockchain itself. Like all of transfers of title are just essentially a form of a blockchain. Like, okay, the property was built, sold, transferred, like ownership is represented by title, and a property address. Like there's so many things that overlap, but just in an antiquated way. And so you could really easily figure out ways to advance it, and whether it's through DAOs and sharing passive income with token ownership, or if it's through some other form of an NFT. There's so many things that could be done. So I'm also looking into that, as ways to kind of bring my passion about NFT and crypto coins and real estate together.
Do you think that you have like a timeline of like when you'd be trying to come to market with it or anything like that, or it's still
No, it's just something something I'm interested with, and I'd love to, to be honest, my background is real estate, so, and I own crypto assets, I own Bitcoin, I own Ether. Um, any chance I get, I like to buy more. I love NFT art. I buy it as much as I can. So I'm enthused about the space, but it's not my background, and I would have to form some sort of partnership because I think it would be a little overreaching if I just try to do it on my own. I'd end up probably having to take shortcuts or do it in a way that might backfire down the road. So I'd have to find some people who are interested in kind of pursuing NFT into the real estate space, and if people usually in that space are so far into like the digital ether that, me saying, hey, why don't you bring that back to real estate? It's kind of like, oh no, I'm forming a DAO to buy, more apes. Like we're not going to be forming a DAO to get into real estate. Like, no, our apes are going to yield, some form of banana tokens, and you know.
yeah.
So if I do find that, person or people who want to work on it with me, I'm happy to, lend my expertise to doing it. But until that happens, I'm kind of just a thought in my head.
Yeah, I mean, like I love some of what's been happening. Like I know, like I had seen Tommy Kimmelman posted like that the sub ducks actually like give residual dollars, and I know it's like it feels
It's Volt tokens.
yes, Volt tokens. Yes, do you have sub ducks too or no?
I know the subducts, but I have a disto punks,
Hmm.
and disto punks yield cred tokens, and then your cred tokens, you can either trade them on the sushi swap pool, or you can use them to buy gear for your disto punk in Sandbox, the
Uh,
metaverse game.
So is it the same way where like if somebody else sells, then you get part of the profits?
So the way the disto punks tokenomics work is you essentially accrue 7 cred tokens a day for as long as you hold your disto punk. So, but once you sell, you no longer earn those tokens.
Nice. So are you is DistoPunks like the main, I guess, like I don't know, 10K project that you're in, or you like other ones too?
I'll be honest. I was buying NFT art since last year, which isn't early, but it's earlier than I think when the mania caught on. And started in like November, December of 2020, and the art made a lot of sense to me. And I looked at Larva Labs page maybe 50 to 100 times from 2020 till July of this year, and I would go to the Larva Labs page, stare at it, and my brain just never really understood like why I would need this as a profile picture. So I didn't really get into the profile picture craze that we've seen. I got, here I have some goats. Did you get the Goat Lodge?
No,
Remember that
I
one?
skipped the codes.
Yeah, that one went to zero, and I have some. I bought some me bits when they were released. Disto punks. I think I have some other ones. I can't really remember them. I mean, I was more into the NFT art, but yeah, the disto punks were cool. I just thought, my friend recommended to me. I bought some, and they have some cool tokenomics. But yeah, it's just, like I said, most people I deal with in the NFT world, trying to get them excited to come back into the real estate world, it's like I haven't really been able to do that yet.
I definitely understand that. I mean, I just feel like yeah, we're gonna live in a world that's gonna be like increasingly more digital and like the whole nine there. But like, I feel like to make things happen across like crypto, like that kind of more. Maybe I'm just I don't know, like more adult centric. I like instead of like just like the fun aspect, but like I feel like if we can revamp some of these systems that are antiquated or like broken in certain ways, like it's a great thing. And like I'm more excited about like the changes that crypto brings as like Web3 more so than like a metaverse or a video game that like I get paid money to play or something like that. Like I get it from like a kid standpoint, but like fixing some of these systems that are kind of broken seems a lot more fun or impactful.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things where I like to do the NFT art. My lights went off, so I'm just going to turn them back on. That's one of the things I like about the my physical NFT art displays, because it's like, okay, you own 100 NFTs, but then you go inside a house and you actually see, 7 of them displayed on screen. it makes a difference. Like it really does. Like people, who even collectors and non-collectors, they see it and they're like, oh, what is that? Like, and then maybe they didn't understand NFT art, or maybe they're on the fence about it. But then you see it and like, oh, okay, I can buy it and I can showcase it. And in the future, I'll even be able to verify that I own it, because I'll be able to go to the screen and wave my hand in front of it, and it will show that I have it in my wallet. Or even I can press a button and, list it for sale, and you could buy it while you're standing. Like there's so many things that could be revolutionized, versus like you come to my house and I have an oil on canvas and you're like, oh, who painted it? And I tell you, and is it forged? Oh, I don't know. You have to, well, how can I tell if it's real or inauthentic or forged or whatever? Say, oh, well, we have to go take it to an appraiser. Okay, well, in this case, you don't. We're on chain. So, I mean, it kind of helps, I think, to do that. So that's one of the things cool about real estate, like having in real life ways to interact with the technology. I think is important to take it to the next level. Otherwise, it's just going to become too much, just in all our heads, this metaverse play to earn, like that never has like an impact when you're outside of that.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you with like the physical art is very similar to like I also am decently into like sports cards and some like the Pokemon cards and stuff like that. And like it's so hard to make a sale with that, because not only do you have to like hit the right person, right? Because it's like so just it's all over the place. You could try and sell on eBay, you could try and sell on Facebook, you could try and sell on this. Everybody wants a deal, like, and then oh well, this one's not as good as that. Like in terms of like a PSA 9 or a PSA 10 from like a grading standpoint, like let's just say PSA 10. Oh, this
Right.
one is less perfect than that one, or oh the plastic is a little bit smudged. Like it's nice that these are always 100% of the time,
Right.
perfect or correct, right? Like, did you do Top Shot as well?
I like, for me, like I said, I got into it because I was doing a lot of real physical art, curation and display. And so for me, like the NFT art was just an easy transition. I wasn't really collecting sports cards or other cards or collectibles. So it was just really an art play for me.
Nice. So, did you
But
collect
yeah, I
other
mean,
art?
I can imagine if you, yeah, I mean, I've always been interested in art and collecting art, physical pieces. I mean, nothing like, museum quality, but I've always, appreciated art and try to, build up a collection. But yeah, like you said, with the cards, Pokemon or sports cards. I mean, what a pain to sell it compared to an NFT. I mean, if you list an NFT on Nifty Gateway and someone buys it, like you're done. There's no shipping, there's no insurance, there's no returns, there's no damage to the card. Hey, this card has a crinkle in it. You didn't tell me about that. I'm shipping it back to you. Like just freaking, like the marketplace is so much more efficient than I imagine like any of the physical collectibles.
Yeah. It it definitely makes it a lot harder to like justify or like want to like do any of that. Like it's cool to unwrap like a box of cards and stuff like that, especially like if it's like expensive and you might hit something like really really nice, like a rookie LeBron card or something like that. But I don't know. I'd rather just like buy. I don't know. I totally agree with you. Like the inability to be able to sell is just such a frustration of mine that like yeah the NFTs have blown my mind, and then it's just like I'd rather just buy everything collectible as digital because I don't want to have to like
Right.
display it or hold it or worry. I don't know. I have a buddy who has like a large sum of money in cards, and he has to have like an insurance thing. He has to have them in like a like fireproof case, and yeah, it's just you leave the house and God forbid somebody breaks in.
Yeah. Yeah, because the sports cards and other collectible cards, they're portable. You can just put them in your pocket and you can walk out the door with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Take someone's cards.
Do you,
But yeah, right now I'm still collecting stuff. I wanted to. There was that cool auction with the Josie Bellini piece. I don't know if you saw that. I was watching. I didn't bid on it, but I was watching it. If it was in striking distance, maybe I would have thrown a bid in, but escalated pretty quickly.
yeah, yeah. Some good responses. I know that we'll probably have some more of those commissioned auctions and stuff. So it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
For like for you as like a collector, like in terms of new pieces or new artists that you're looking to collect, like is it kind of more just like whatever pops up on your Twitter feed, or like whatever's coming on Nifty Gateway, or like how do you really decide?
Like everyone else, I'm in like the various Discord groups. So kind of like work collaboratively to try to find, alpha in the space, see if anyone finds, an up and coming artist or an art that looks cool on various platforms, talking to the other collectors, a lot of the collectors and we find something, we share it. So yeah, it's Twitter too. And so yeah, I started doing some collecting on super rare as well. And I'm trying to, it's so easy, right, to burn through your ETH on NFTs. So try to also temper it a little bit. I had to take some of my ETH and just like stake it somewhere just so I wouldn't be tempted to just freaking plow it into NFTs, like the whole amount.
Yeah. No, I've had that issue. I've definitely had that issue. I bought a piece before the last like pack drop, and I was like, okay, as we approach, I'll sell it, and then I didn't, and now I still have the thing, and I spent like that. It's a good price. It's a good hold piece. It is like Pack the Flipper, and I was just like, all
Oh,
right,
nice.
yeah, and so I just like scooped it, and I was like, all right, like worst comes worst, will be a good hold. And then my buddy was like, nah, pull it down. And I was like, I just want this. And then like one sold for what I wanted, whatever. It was like 50 grand, and I was like, I just wanted the 50. And then like it went up to like 60 something, and then like immediately came back down. I was like, shit. Like I just wanted to be able to like, okay, like we know Pack's coming. People aren't making the move. Like it wasn't even like
Right.
alpha at that point. It was just nobody was making this move, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And then yeah, now I'm not out of the ETH, but I'm in illiquid JPEGs.
Right. Do you think that drop from Pack is going to come into play with his other stuff he's developing with the pages and Lost Poets, like the cheap and the flipper, or do you think it's going to be separate?
It feels like it's separate. Like he hasn't really made any mention. I was under the impression based on his last drop before now, where it was like the 1 cube, 5 cube, that
Right.
and maybe I just misunderstood, but that the 1 cube was for X amount, and 5 cube was going to be more than that. So it like really surprised me when when you burn the 1 and the 5, you got the same amount of ash. And so then
Right.
I don't think I also thought that you would get more for like the OG stuff, right? From like that title collection, the cheap, the flipper, the
Right.
yeah. But then I think you got less for those, and so then I was like, all right, well, I'm definitely not gonna burn those. But it was an interesting, like
Yeah.
I expected different, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It'll be interesting to see if he'll come back to those older pieces, like some from like the Narcissist series too.
Mhm.
And even before that, and then the title series. So we'll see if what he does with those pieces. If he has a master plan for it all.
Yeah, I am not his producer, so I don't know anything. So everything is just a guess. But it's yeah, I would love to see him do like collector rewards or like collect these pieces to enter and stuff to that extent, because I just feel like yeah, like I'm amazed. I think the narcissist pieces are some of his cheapest, and it's like how like it's literally some of his
Right.
oldest. Like I
Right.
I know a guy who is upset that it's not higher because he's just like why is this so cheap?
Right.
Trying to
Right.
sell
Right.
it.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Over time.
Do you like more like the
But
Riddler aspect?
so Pack I really like. Yeah, Pack I find really interesting, and the cool thing about him as an NFT artist is that he clearly has an understanding of the technology. There's some really great digital artists who maybe like their grasp of what an NFT is maybe isn't as deep, but they're digital artists, really good looking. But like with Pack, it's the opposite, right? Like simple minimalism, like really extreme minimalistic style. But like he clearly knows, like that was the whole point of like the title series where everything was the same JPEG. And I don't know if you remember that drop, everyone was like scratching their head, like, wait a second, the cheap and the expensive are the same image, but they're different prices. And it was like, it was a head scratcher. And then it's like, well, Pack was saying like, well, yeah, because the metadata isn't what you're buying. You're buying a token. And so this token minted in this, series number is what's going to make it valuable, not what JPEG's affiliated with it. So, I mean, having that level of understanding, I thought was like head and shoulders above, the majority of the NFT artists. That being said, because I like to display the art, I don't know if there's like a Pack display wall in the future. Like, how interesting it'd be to have like a bunch of little cubes, floating around, compared to like Nest graphics, how sick that would be to have like 7 Nest graphics with all like the computer animation he does, like on a wall, compared to like just 7 cubes floating in there.
Yeah, yeah. I think pack might be a little less, a little less pop, but like I feel like also if you imagine, I'm just imagining like a multi wall, and imagine having like 5 or 10 or 20 pieces of like pack, even if it's all just like if you had the foresight at the time to like just buy like 20 cheaps, right? And now you just have 20 things rotating and they're all just spinning. I, I know it's not as visually appealing, but
Could be
like,
interesting too.
yeah,
It's a different look, but yeah, it could be interesting too. From a minimalist or displaying the pixel. Do you remember the pixel?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, displaying like some of it, just like because he's doing something different than the visual. So I don't know if I'm going to display the pixel.
mm, yeah. It was like I kind of like when he pisses people off, man. It's one of those things where it's just like you thought like you had the rule book and you thought you could tell me what to do, and like it doesn't matter. Like he just does it, and I mean, you see it with like the poets, you see it with like the last drop with like the cubes, you see it with the title collection. Like people don't care. Like people are there partially for the show and not just for the art.
Yeah, exactly. Did you get any pages when it dropped?
Yeah, so I had some ash, and so I ended up getting airdrop like 5 of the pages.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then I minted like a couple. And so yesterday I was like, so that whole Evergrande situation is probably part of the reason
Right,
why the market is down. And so then
right.
yesterday I was like, I don't know if this is going to be like a more Black Swan event or if the market's just going to say, hey, we'll dip on this. And then my mental is like, well, if crypto takes a dump, then it might take a lot of the steam out of the sales. And I sold 5 of them yesterday, and I kept the other ones that I bought,
Oh,
which,
wow.
yes. And
Shoot, prior to the Sotheby's announcement?
yes.
Shoot.
So I lost like 2 ETH there.
Yeah, well, but it was an airdrop, right, for most of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So good.
All good, all good. I still have some exposure. I have more than 5 in exposure, so it's cool. But it's just like that.
Oh, yes, plenty.
Yeah, but that was my tweet today of like even when you think you're like overexposed to pack, you're not. And that was my tweet today, and I was
Oh,
like,
got it.
fuck. Like I sold that,
Got
and
it.
then
Got it.
the Sotheby's announcement came out, and it was like it jumped to 1 ETH. Now, fuck. Like god damn it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So I guess like from like your take, like who else are you like excited about in terms of like up and coming? Like have you gone into like any of like the photographers yet?
So I did some photography is really interesting. So Nate Hill was I own his one of one from his first drop with Nifty Gateway, and I own a one of one of his from Super Rare. And a collector and I were talking about photography, and he was kind of like concerned because he's like, well, if you have the photograph, couldn't you just mint it, infinitely? You know, and then it's kind of comes down to like how the blockchain works as a timestamp too. So then it would just come down to, well, that particular photograph was minted, this year compared to minted at a later date. So it's interesting, but I haven't gotten too deep into it. I have a little bit of exposure through it through Nate Hill, who's great, and I looked at a lot of Maker's Place photography. But I'm trying to focus a little bit on the art side and kind of like, dabble a little bit in photography, dabble a little bit in profile pictures, but try not to get too carried away. Otherwise, you go bankrupt. If you chase every project,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
if you chase every profile picture,
Yeah, get a lot of bricks.
yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to stay a little bit focused, but keep my eye out. Every day I'm active, on Twitter, Discord. Every day I'm checking out things, but sitting tight right now. Kind of don't have a big play in mind. Just kind of watching the market and kind of sitting tight, waiting for the next thing to get into.
For like what you were talking about with the photography, right? Like maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like it would be similar. I mean, it's really just uploading a save file, right? Like somebody could upload more of like the pack, like Pack could upload
Art,
more,
yeah,
or Nate Hill
it's
could
similar. Yeah,
like. So like I know that you're trusting the photographer to not mint more, but we're kind of trusting like the actual artist. I mean, obviously they can't just do it through Nifty Gateway because we have to actually do it. But like if you're buying something on OpenSea, then if that artist mints the same project again, like then what happens? You know?
right. Yeah, it's similar. It's similar.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Have you been buying any?
So I was amazed by his name is I'll pull it up for people so that way they can see. Um, I'm not sure if you were aware of him, but Drifter Shoots. He has the series called Where My Vans Go,
Yeah.
and that just blew me away. Where he has like a whole crew of this guy E and this guy Tom Durante, and so I scooped one of Tom Durant. I scooped Tom Durante's like Genesis piece off of Foundation
Okay.
because it's
Nice.
similar, but like me being based in New York, it was like him lying off the side of a building, and it's the 9/11 lights in the background, and so I ended up
Okay.
scooping that one. It was just like my dad is like he's not a first responder, but he helped work like he worked for fleet services for New York City, so we worked on all like the
Oh wow.
cars, and so then he
Oh,
has
that's awesome.
yeah he has some like 9/11, not anything compared to like most people, but like some 9/11 health issues where like just
Oh wow.
yeah,
Shoot.
my uncle was down there. My grandma worked like a block away, and so it was just like yeah.
Crazy.
Um, I figured it hit home enough that I like really wanted the piece.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Um, but yeah,
So are you excited with the changes coming to Nifty Gateway? Seems like every other week they're coming out with an update and a new revamp.
I so I've been saying this for like a while, and I've tried to like make Twitter aware. The dev team does not get enough credit at Nifty Gateway because like they're just like so incredibly quick and efficient with stuff. I think that a lot of these profile pictures are here to stay, the same as like Bored Ape Yacht Club. I mean, you being in crypto, there's always been, Bitcoin and Ethereum, which feels like it's going to end up shaking out to be, punks and then Bored Ape Yacht Club. But then who the rest of
Right.
like the 3 to 5 after that are still going to be like hyper relevant seem to be like coveted spots that'll, people will vibe with and be a part of a community with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, they did. They actually just pushed something today where you can now buy things on OpenSea from Nifty Gateway and vice versa. So like those are
Really?
those
I
are
heard you can like bid on traits too now on Nifty Gateway, like bid on things with certain traits.
I so I know that was like supposed to come out. I don't know if that got pushed yet. It The dev team is just brilliant, and so the next couple of weeks, months, days, hours, possibly. Like there's just so much like new stuff that's rolling out that yeah, like definitely Miguel is our social media lead. Like he makes sure everything gets kind of like posted, and we have like a Medium article so that way people can learn more about it. But yeah, it's definitely a crazy time at Nifty in terms of like functionability and just yeah improvements on the site.
That's awesome. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of out of questions, and we did close to an hour already. I like
Okay.
I like to close out with what do you think your purpose is in life?
Oh shoot, I wasn't expecting that one.
I like to go deep with like the
I
last question.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I think the real estate construction development, whatever you want to call it, industry is really tough in a way. It's really like grind day to day. And I kind of stick with it. So I think part of it is some building in some aspects. I don't know what the final formal take on is. Kind of life goes like what I'm meant to build per se, but a part of me feels like I'm here to build something. Whether it's homes or like I said, build something else down the road. We'll see, but kind of part of me sticks with this kind of grueling process. I think for a reason. So I think there's some aspect of me that's set here to build something. So we'll see. It could just be houses. We don't know, but like I said, we'll see how it turns out over time.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you get that DAO going in terms of houses, count me in. I'm definitely down for it.
All right, I'll let you know.
Thanks, man. All right, appreciate
All
the
right, bud.
time.
Well, thanks so much for interviewing me, and I'm sure we'll talk soon on Twitter or elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for the time, man.
All right, bud. Take care.
See you later.